What's up, brand builders? Stephen Hurahan here at BrandMasterAcademy.com, and in this video you're going to learn 8 different types of branding for your strategy, so you can arm yourself with flexible branding tactics and develop the right brand for the right situation. Now, if you're new to the channel and you want to build brands that go beyond the visuals using strategy, psychology, and creative thinking, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to fast track your results, make sure you grab the Pro Brand Strategy Blueprint. It's a free download and the link is in the description. Now, the term branding is pretty broad and it means different things to different people. On one hand, you can have a small business owner believing that branding is their logo. And on the other hand, you can have a business leader managing multiple different businesses with hundreds of different products and services, using branding as a way to gain clarity for their messaging and for their structure. So it's no wonder you have many different types of branding. Now, when it comes to developing a strategy for your own brand or for a client's brand, you want as many tactics and techniques at your disposal as possible, because you need to make those strategic decisions as to what structure you should have for your brand. And that is the critical role of the brand strategist. So you need to understand the different types of branding and what situation needs what technique. And that is the role, as I said, of the brand strategist. And in this video, I'm going to show you 8 different types of branding that you can use when it comes to your brand strategy. Now, although there are many different types of brand strategies, many of them cross over and you can use multiple brand strategies concurrently. So for example, you can use an umbrella branding strategy along with a product branding strategy, or you can use a personal branding strategy along with a corporate branding strategy. So as I said, there's a lot of crossover in these strategies, but it is important to know which strategy to use in which situation. Number 1 is personal branding. Now, personal branding has really taken off in the last 10 to 15 years. Now, personal branding really has always been around because it's really only about nurturing your reputation. As a professional, you have a reputation in the marketplace, whether that's as an employee or as a business owner. And if you undertake personal branding, then what you're doing is you're essentially managing your personal reputation. You're managing the reputation of your name within your industry. So that's what personal branding is all about. It's really about taking a focus and an interest in developing out your reputation within the market, so people see you for what you want to be known for, and that's otherwise known as positioning. Number 2 is corporate branding. Now, corporate branding focuses on developing the name and the reputation of the brand itself. Now, most businesses will promote their products or services, but some businesses will actually promote the name of the brand or the brand itself. Now, Nike is a perfect example of this. Yes, Nike promote their products on billboards and on TV, but they also promote the brand itself. There are many different advertisements that Nike put out there where there is no product involved. It's all about promoting the brand and the reputation of that brand through an idea and through what it stands for. So corporate branding is all about promoting the name of the brand and the business itself. Number 3 is product branding. Now, this strategy focuses on branding the individual products of a business or an overarching brand. Now, this is typically found in an umbrella branding strategy. So sticking with the Nike example, Nike is the umbrella brand sitting on top, but they have many different products sitting underneath the umbrella brand, and they brand those products individually. And an example of one of those would be the Air Max range. Nike has taken the time to develop out that brand identity, develop out that messaging, and they focus there on product branding. Now, Apple is another example of product branding as well. They have many different products which they brand individually. They brand their iWatch, the iPhone, the iMac, the iPad. These are all individually branded products that Apple promote to their audience. So this is another, probably the most famous example of product branding. Number 4 is service branding. Now, service branding is pretty much the exact same as product branding, only it focuses on a service and not a product. But when it comes to service branding, there is a distinct advantage in using this strategy here, because many businesses today have many different services. And although when it comes to product branding, you can see one product versus another, so you can visually distinguish between the two, but when it comes to services, it's a bit more difficult to do that. So there is a distinct advantage in using service branding to distinguish between your services. Now, FedEx is a perfect example of this. You have FedEx Corp sitting on top, and you have the subsidiary services sitting below that. So you have FedEx Freight, FedEx Ground, and FedEx Express. So this is a perfect example of service branding. So if you have a brand or you're working with a brand that offers many different services and it is difficult to distinguish between those services as an audience member, then service branding is a legitimate strategy that you might look towards to help your audience understand the difference between those services. Number 5 is co-branding. Now, co-branding is a strategy that brings 2 or more brands together in collaboration or partnership. Now, these brands typically share the same audience or at least the same segment within an audience, but obviously they're not direct competitors. They're not competing with each other. Now, a perfect example of this would be Red Bull and GoPro. Red Bull and GoPro, their audience both love extreme sports, and they're both able to go in there and share that audience because they are not directly competing with each other. Instead, they leverage each other's brand equity and brand reputation and enhance the reputation of the other brand. Number 6 is umbrella branding. Now, I touched earlier on umbrella branding before, but umbrella branding has many different techniques that you can use within brand architecture. So an example here would be a branded house, which I've touched on before with both Nike and Apple, or a house of brands, and Unilever would be a great example of that. But essentially, an umbrella branding strategy has a parent brand sitting on top, and the brands underneath either use the brand equity of the parent brand, or the parent brand is simply there to manage the individual brands underneath, and each and every one of those brands can act distinctly individually, whether it's through their messaging, through their brand identity, or as a completely individual brand from all the others. So umbrella branding is a legitimate strategy if you have many different brands to consider within a structure. Number 7 is purposeful branding. Now, purposeful branding is where a brand engages in activities that go beyond the transactional nature of their existence. So they look towards a cause that they might be able to contribute to or help. And typically this cause is aligned with the beliefs of their audience. Now, of course, they use that to connect with who their audience is and show their audience that they share the same beliefs as they do. But purposeful branding also has the end goal of just being purposeful, just helping out whatever that cause is. Now, a great example of purposeful branding would be Tom's, where Tom's give a pair of shoes to somebody in need for every pair sold. Or Patagonia. Patagonia has a real purposeful soul and really does look towards sustainability and really helping the environment. So these are 2 examples of purposeful branding where brands use purposeful endeavors to align with who their audience is and to really contribute to society on a broader spectrum. And number 8, employer branding. Now, employer branding is where the business focuses on branding internally. They want to show the market, and specifically they want to attract the brightest talent in the market to come and work for them. So they want to display that they understand what it is that their employees want from them. They understand work-life balance. They understand what it is that their workers want to achieve from life. And they show that they take an interest in this in order to attract that talent. Now, Google is a perfect example of this. Any young technician coming into the market looking for a job would jump at the chance to work for Google because their brand culture is so strong and they have such strong employer branding. They take the time to focus on their staff, on their employees, and make sure that they really show interest in them and make sure that they get as much as possible from the Google brand. Now, as I've said before, there are many different strategies here, but many of these cross over, and you can have some brands leveraging multiple strategies within their own particular strategy. And Dove is a perfect example of this. Dove engage in corporate branding. They promote the Dove brand. They engage in product branding. They promote the individual products and they brand the individual products. They also engage in purposeful branding as well through the self-esteem of women and girls. And they are also part of an umbrella branding strategy through their parent Unilever. So you can see here there are 4 different types of branding within the Dove brand strategy. So it's just really important to understand how each strategy works and how you can leverage each strategy when it comes to the development of your own brand strategy. So as you can see, the game of branding can get pretty strategic. And when you sit down at the table with your clients, or when it comes time to developing your own brand strategy, it's important to understand what options you have and to have these aces up your sleeve when you walk into a brand strategy workshop. And if you do happen to walk into a brand strategy workshop and you want to ace that workshop, well then this video will give you 10 questions that you can use to make sure you get the information that you need. Until next time, brand like a master, and I'll see you in the next video.